This is Joshua Howland with another Industrial Organizational Psychology Bootcamp. We talked previously about how measuring business outcomes from a social standpoint can be immensely challenging. Let's try to build up a fictional survey to understand employee happiness, engagement, and innovation. One tool that is often used in psychology is the Likert scale. You may not know its name, but I'm certain you've encountered it before. Instead of approaching questions with a yes or no answer, it provides degrees of agreement to better capture the nuanced nature of human behavior. A Likert scale will ask a question, then typically allow for the following answers: I strongly disagree, I disagree, I am neutral, I agree, or I strongly agree. This allows flexibility in the answer and a better gauge of actual feelings on the matter. It also provides what's known as ordinal data, which can provide a more nuanced and meaningful data set when you're trying to assess effectiveness. The scale doesn't have to be like agree or disagree. It could also be this is something that is strongly impactful. It's not very impactful, right? It can measure it in different ways, but it's typically going to be on average a 5-question scale, although you can kind of expand it out even more. Now let's build our first question. We want to kind of figure out if the workplace is conducive to happy employees, because I've read a lot of studies and I know that happier employees are more innovative, they're more productive, and there's typically less employee churn when a workplace promotes employee happiness. Also, I just like my employees. I want them to be happy, right? From an ethical standpoint, I think that that's something that we should prioritize in some way, even outside of the business outcomes. So maybe I can start with, I am happy when I'm at work, as the first question. That's straightforward, right? Like, that's going to get us the answer we're looking for. Not quite. I'm not trying to measure if the employee is happy at work because I don't have definitive control over that. The employee might be going through a divorce, they might have sickness in the family, and factors like that may result in them feeling unhappy generally. It's too vague of a question. And that's a problem to solve, right? But that's, from a business standpoint, it's inappropriate for us to try to solve those kind of problems. When we really dig deeper, the thing that we really want to know is if we are taking appropriate action to help facilitate happiness and support in the workplace. Reframing the question we have might look like, does your workplace put forward initiatives that help you with your overall happiness? Or rather, your workplace puts forward initiatives that help with your overall happiness. That's a much more refined question because we're asking about the workplace impact on their happiness, not their general happiness while in the workplace. We can apply this approach to other questions too. Instead of, do you feel that you have, or you feel that you have the support necessary to solve problems in the workplace? Once again, they might feel, oh, well, I actually, personally, I'm not good at solving problems like that. Like, I'm not good at being innovative, or they might have certain perspectives on their own self. But that's not what we're trying to measure. So once again, we can reframe it as, your workplace puts forth efforts that allow you to solve problems. If you also want to figure out the general well-being of your employees in your workplace, you can ask both questions. But when leading a team, building up frameworks that result in success, and supporting employees, there are things outside of your control, and that shouldn't be the focus of your primary measurements. That isn't to say, as we're going through this, that a Likert scale with questioning like this is perfect. There are challenges such as the central tendency bias that essentially results in people being more likely to provide a neutral answer to avoid taking a firm stance. There's also the acquiescence bias, which essentially results in people being more likely to agree with a statement, simply to be agreeable. Additionally, your workplace culture can influence the effectiveness of surveys if employees have reason to distrust the survey itself. If your employees do not trust that the survey will be confidential, they may simply agree to avoid hard conversations. That's why it's also important to instill a culture that allows for safe feedback. Otherwise, things like that can get missed. Thank you once again for watching my second video on measurements and variables. As you reflect, can you think of any times you've seen Likert scales used previously? What could you use this kind of measurement for in your own work to help build a better workplace environment that instills better productivity, engagement, and efficiency? How can you maybe use this moving forward? Well, either way, I hope this was insightful, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.